Michael was always in a rush. Meetings, deadlines, emails, coffee. Every day blurred into the next. As he climbed the corporate ladder, convinced that success was measured in hours worked and promotions earned, he barely noticed the world around him, especially not the quiet old man who sat near the subway entrance with a small sketch pad and a chipped mug for coins. The man never asked for money. He simply drew faces, cityscapes, birds in motion, and occasionally smiled at passers-by. One Monday morning, Michael dropped his phone while hurrying past. Before he could reach it, the old man picked it up and handed it back with a gentle, "Be careful, friend. The world is faster than it needs to be." Michael nodded, muttered thanks, and disappeared into the tunnel. But something about the man lingered in his mind all day. The next morning, Michael slowed down, just enough to look. The old man was there again, sketching a pair of pigeons. Michael tossed in a few coins and paused. "That's really good," he said, surprising himself. "Thank you," the man replied. "I draw what I see, what most people miss." Michael didn't reply, but the seed had been planted. Days passed, and curiosity bloomed. Michael began stopping by each morning, asking about the sketches, what inspired them, how long he'd been drawing. The man, who introduced himself as Eli, shared stories with soft-spoken wisdom. He'd been an illustrator once, decades ago, had a wife, a daughter, a quiet home with a garden. But illness, layoffs, and loss slowly stripped all of that away. Now he drew to remember and to stay present. "I lost a lot," Eli said one morning, "but not everything. I still have my eyes, my hands, my thoughts. I draw to remind myself there's beauty left, especially in people." Michael listened, then stayed a little longer the next day. One afternoon, after a hard meeting and a louder than usual silence in his apartment, Michael walked back to the subway stop, not to catch a train, but to talk. Eli wasn't there. The next day, he wasn't there either. On the third day, only the chipped mug remained. Inside was a folded piece of paper. Michael opened it. Inside was a detailed sketch of himself, suit, tie, phone in hand, but standing still, looking up at the sky. At the bottom, it read, "Don't forget to slow down. The world has lessons if you're willing to look." Michael stared at the sketch for a long time. He never saw Eli again. But he changed. He started taking walks without his phone. Began sketching badly at first, then with growing joy. Reconnected with his mother. Reached out to old friends. Took fewer meetings, but listened more closely. He never became a great artist, but he became more human. Years later, he found a quiet bench near that same subway stop. He sat with a sketch pad, just watching, sometimes drawing. And when people asked why, he would smile and say, "I'm learning to see." Some days, he'd draw the world rushing by. Other days, he'd notice the small things, a child laughing at a bubble, a couple holding hands, a leaf falling just right. He no longer chased moments. He noticed them. And sometimes, when someone looked particularly worn, Michael would hand them a simple sketch and image of them as they were, captured with care. It always surprised them, but it always made them smile. He didn't call it art. He called it remembering. Not just what we look like, what we mean to each other when we choose to notice, to connect. One quiet morning, he placed a sketch of Eli in the same spot where they used to talk. It showed the older man smiling with a pencil in hand, pigeons flying in the background. Underneath, Michael wrote, "You changed more than my day. You changed my life." Then he walked away slowly, watching the world as Eli once had. Sometimes the greatest teachers are strangers we almost overlooked. If this story moved you, share it and maybe take a moment to slow down today. The world might be trying to tell you something. Subscribe for more true human stories.